Thank you for having me. I'm so humbled to be with this amazing group of women and my first year at this event. So, funny story, my mom and dad, immigrants, first generation for me in the US, and my mom used to say to me, you need to stand on your own 2 feet, never rely on your spouse. I said, okay, well that's stuck in my head my whole life. My dad said to me, you need to join women organizations. I was like, okay, I was in college. I was like, Dad, whatever. So fast forward, when I did my career pivot, part of that pivot was really embracing the female I am and all the women out here, right? And joining those groups because let's face it is very hard to move up the ladder. So we need each other and help each other grow. So I'm gonna give you some tips today, 2, 3 tips that you'll get at the end, and I will highlight them as we go along. So my sales job started early in my career when I was in college. I started selling Electrolux vacuum cleaners, and of course I'm dating myself, so maybe some of you did that. I did get a scholarship to Boston University. I was number 10 in the country selling vacuums, right? Which cost a lot of money at the time, $800, $1,000 vacuum cleaners, crazy. But you know, you can buy a hairdryer now for $500. That's also crazy. So then I sold Cutco knives the following summer. Then I sold books door to door, drop off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, pick up Thursday, Friday. That last summer, I was in college. They said, we're gonna open an office in India doing the same thing. Do you wanna go? So I said, yeah, I'll take a semester off. This will be great. I went there, I didn't wanna come back. My mom said, you have to finish college, you have 1 semester, you wanna go live there? Go ahead, but after. We invested too much. So because I never did a real internship, I couldn't get a job in my field, which was marketing. I had to do a little bit research. I kept on applying 40, 50 rejections to the top marketing firms, who actually I'm friends with some of them today, which is ironic. So my dad came home with an application for Macy's, $10 an hour, right? You have a $100,000 degree, you can get a job making $10 an hour. So I worked there for a year. I decided this is not going to go fast for me, so I need to go outside of this work. So I went to the bookstore, Barnes & Noble. I picked up a book, Up and Coming Companies, and I read about this company called Bed Bath & Beyond, the blue coupon. We all know it. We used to know it. So I got a job. I was a store manager, quickly a department manager, store manager, probably within a year and a half. They were growing, 60 stores when I started, 2,500 and 5 brands after I left. So I started in the field. I left the field, went to corporate. I decided I wanted to have a family. Retail hours, as we know, are crazy. Not that what we're doing isn't crazy now, all the hours we work. So I left and went to corporate. But when I was in the stores as a young store manager, I had an older gentleman working for me who thought they should be my boss. So how am I going to talk to them and relate and actually say, no, actually I'm the boss and you have to listen to me. So my mentor would come weekly and coach me. She said, you have to find what makes them tick, listen and use it to your advantage and help them accelerate, which is really important. We all have teams, everybody has a superpower, so we have to lean in on that. When I went to corporate, same thing happened. I worked for a gentleman who said, okay, you can make copies and I'll go to the meeting. Let's just say that didn't go well. So I went to the VP who I became friends with, and he said, there's a lot more I told him I could do for the company and gave him examples. At that time, e-commerce was starting. And so also private brands became a big thing. So he said, we're gonna start to do private brands. 30% of our business will come from that. Do you wanna join the party? So I said yes. So finally I get to do marketing. I get to create a brand, work with creative agencies, source some materials from overseas, and really drive that. So we grew that to about $1 billion. After, I got a little bored, and I moved into store signage, graphics, customer experience, marketing, working with the architect team, all of that. Then the pandemic happened. And so Bed Bath wasn't doing so good as most retailers. So that time period, my husband would say, leave the company a long time ago. I didn't. And you do your job, you're happy, and you become a little complacent. And I got a call. There was a bomb drop. They're like, your position has been eliminated. It's like, wow, right? I'm the breadwinner. It's the middle of the pandemic. What am I going to do? Are we going to move? Are we going to pack our stuff? What's going to happen? Lesson number one, don't be complacent. People give you advice, build your brand, internal, external, right? I had no resume for 25 years. I had no LinkedIn profile. I had some connections, but not that many. So now I had to build my brand. So I started with calling my creative agency. We did a brand portfolio. I gave my credit card to a resume writer. She gave me 25 pages to fill out. She said, I need to deeply understand what you're good at, and you're going to answer these questions, and then it's going to take me 6 weeks to do your resume. It's like, 6 weeks? So then I did a LinkedIn profile. Did you know you're not supposed to cut your friend off the picture when you just need your picture? I read that after I did it. So I had my professional headshot done. Now I start to network, those 15-minute network breakfast meetings with people, right? One thing led to another. So as I was doing this, I was thinking, do I reinvent myself? Do I go into retail? Retail is changing and evolving. So one person at this breakfast meeting, an executive, she said, sometimes you have to take 2 to 3 steps backwards to go forward. And that's what she did. She used to be at a CPG. She went into a retail organization after, a grocer. She's an EVP now at that grocer. But she started as an individual contributor. She took a huge pay cut. So that stuck to me as I went through this journey. Now, I needed to also think about, what do I want to do? Like, if I'm going to take a career pivot, what should I do? So I went to dinner on my birthday, which was still depressing because I had no job. And a good family friend said, why don't you go to telco? I said, are you crazy? Like telco? I know nothing about telco. That would be a career pivot. Ring, ring. The next morning, T-Mobile calls me, a recruiter, and said, we have a job for you. I was like, wow, this must a sign from the heavens that I'm going to get a job. The guy was crazy. The culture here at my company is very rah-rah and crazy, but in a good way. So I didn't say no to him, but he couldn't explain to me what the job was. We had just merged Sprint and T-Mobile, and I didn't say no, because nobody should say no to a recruiter. I asked him questions. We said, let's talk in a few days. I had to understand, could they deliver to me, and could I deliver to them in return? Because that is important, right? So I researched the company. I researched the technology. I talked to my sons, who were like, I said, do you know what cloud compute is? Do you know what the edge is? They didn't, and I knew more, and that was a good thing, right? They're boys, so they always think they know more than mom. So after 5 weeks, I said yes to the interview. I landed the job. I took a month off. So I came into this company and thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to rebuild and grow in a new company? In the old company, I knew everybody from the C-suite down. Here, I knew nobody. 80,000 people in the pandemic working from your computer at home in the dining room, right? With kids running around. A role that's not defined. Just because you're in a role doesn't mean that's the role, right? You can build your role to whatever you want it to be. Part of why I'm successful is I do the job, but I do a lot more. And I think we all do a lot more, but we don't give ourselves credit that we're doing that, right? And that's important. So I had to come up with a plan and say, what is the plan that I have? How do I get up the chain in this company, and how do I grow my internal brand and external brand, right? And how do I make sure I grow too? I took a 6-figure pay cut when I joined. They said, I want to be a director. They said, that'll take you 3 to 5 years. So I was like, wow, 6-figure pay cut, 3 to 5 years, that's not going to work for me. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it in a year. He kind of laughed at me. I did it in 18 months. Well, let me tell you how that happened. So as I built the plan, I think something that's important that we've been talking about for a few days now is authenticity, right? That means who you are, what you believe in, and how you push for what is right for yourself, for the company, for the people who work for you, right? And sometimes we ruffle feathers, and that's okay, but it's how you ruffle the feathers. So I got out of my comfort zone. I gave it 110%. People said, why do you work so hard? I said, because I don't know this industry, so I'm going to work twice as hard as everybody else who's been here 20, 30 years, right? Because there's no playbook. I had to figure it out. So one of the things that I learned is different types of relationships, right? You need a mentor in life, right, to help you. There's no risk to that relationship. You need a sponsor, and you need an advocate. One thing I've learned over the last 4 years here is actually I have a lot of those. I didn't even know. When my new boss came in, she said, people talk about you all the time, but you're not in the room. I was like, really? Oh, that's news to me. People fight for me, right? It's because I built those strong relationships. Sometimes I have VPs saying, don't go up the ladder, call me first, I got your back. Recently, somebody said no to me. I wrote an email with the VP on it. This happened Friday. He said, who is telling you that you have to go to your boss, right? With all these people on it. I took him off. I said, your team. He called me and said, do you know who the F she is? Because let me tell you, you have to listen to her. Without her, this product doesn't work. We talked a lot about marketing, making the product, selling, having people testing the product before it goes full market. I run the retail org, right? So the top 100 retailers are under my sales team. So a lot of the things that T-Mobile is coming out with is retail. But I didn't know. He's new. This VP has only been in 1 year. That guy that works for him, 4 months. I was like, that guy must be new because I got a brand now, right? So I think for you all, when you're getting a new position in this company, in any company, you need all 4 of those in the company. Because when you're not there, they should be talking about you. When there's a role coming in, your champion should be there for you, right? Because those are critical. Sending a job resume to a company without a connection usually doesn't work. Same thing in the company we're in. We need all 4 of those. So next up, bomb drop number 2 happened to me. 18 months in the role of this industry segment advisor, which was really helping sales teams. And there were 21 of us that specialized. They fired us all. They brought us into a room, and they said, you know, it's not working out. We don't know where you really fit, and it was too early to hire you, so we're giving you a package. You have 12 weeks to find a job in the company or take your package. So I was like, okay, I did see it coming. I did ruffle a lot of feathers, but so did my peers. So I had built a brand. I had all those 4 categories, and I wasn't too worried. My first call was to my senior vice president. I said, oh, did you hear what happened? He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. I said, what do you mean, don't worry about it? I said, he's like, you have 12 weeks. You'll land somewhere. You know, just keep me posted. So I interviewed for a role in stores. They were far down the path, doing customer experience, what I did before, as a VP. I interviewed in marketing. There was a lot of politics, so I didn't get that role. So my SVP said, I got a role sales. I was like, oh my God. My whole life, I didn't want to do retail 25 years. I didn't want to do sales. Now I'm doing sales. So he's like, I got a role. It's retail, heading up our retail sales team, and also energy, oil, gas, and utilities. I said, George, I don't know anything about that industry. He's like, yeah, you do. I'm like, oh, they have a gas station? He said, yes. So I said, okay. So I think that would never have happened had I not been authentic and built my brand inside the company. Now, there was another conversation with my current boss. I landed in New York, traveled the whole week, exhausted. She said, I almost quit on her twice. So this was probably the second time I almost quit. She's talking to me, and she's like, you know, you really have to focus on the job and not do all the other things I do, which is helping the marketing team deliver to T-Mobile for Business, telling him to go to certain events, working with different channels, channel partners. You really just got to focus on the job. There was dead silence for at least 60 seconds. Nobody broke the silence. Finally, I said, okay, I got in my car. I drove home. I'm like, I'm quitting this place. Like, really? There's no playbook. I just got here. Nobody's giving me training. And then she's telling me this. We're best friends now. We came to an understanding that she has superpowers and I have superpowers, and how do we work together to deliver to the company? So it took us 3 years to get there, but I can tell you, I've learned so much from her as my leader. But if I didn't push back, maybe she wouldn't respect me, because I see how people treat each other, right? And I think as long as you have respect and mutual understanding, and I tell her, I didn't really listen to you, but I failed, and then I was like, you were right, and I appreciate you, right? And she says the same thing to me. I think in my sales team, they will follow a leader if you lead them, and they see how you operate, they slowly become like you, right? They understand your passion, right? So I think those are important things. Leaders deliver with the expectation of others. They're comfortable in their own skin, right? I wasn't comfortable for the first 2 years because I didn't know the role. I had to learn it. But guess what? Now I can have those hard conversations with my customer or my peers or people and explain why it's not working. So after all of this went down, I realized that you need to own the conversation. And all your years of experience, you have a right to have a seat at the table, and your voice should be heard. And you have the right to say your point of view. Doesn't matter who else is in the room. And a lot of us are in an industry is male-dominated. You've been in a room, I was, AWS, 20 of them, 2 of us, right? Qualcomm, same thing. But if you walk in, you're authentic, you carry yourself, you got it, right? And never give that up. That's critical. So moving forward, what I would like you guys to take away from all of this is not to be complacent. Already today, leave here and think about your next career path. Where do you see yourself in 1, 5, 10 years? That's important, right? And build towards that. Build your network inside and out. Don't think LinkedIn works only those hours. It's 24/7, 365 days. What you post, I post on occasion. I have to post more. That's my New Year's resolution, right? With my own thoughts and not somebody else's thoughts. And be authentic, right? Be trustworthy and gravitas. When you walk into a room, know that you're serious. Your team will know you're serious, and the people listening to you know you're serious. Because without that, you're just having a conversation. You all possess that superpower. And let that shine. Don't be shy, because if I wouldn't be here today. Like, I remember what my mom said and my dad, and that's in my head all the time. My husband sometimes gets mad. He's like, oh yeah, back in the day. I said, yeah, but guess what? We live in a great life. My kids have everything they want, and we as moms or parents, right, we always want more for our next generation, right? And it's up to us today to embrace each other and help each other grow. That's it. Quick.